quite a lot of additional targets today. The Navy's gone, the Air Force is gone, we know that. But we destroyed many targets today. It was a big day. And we are negotiating with them directly and indirectly. We have emissaries, but we also are dealing directly. And as you know, they've agreed to send 8 boats 2 days ago, and then they added another 2, so it was 10 boats. And now today they gave us as a tribute, I don't know, I can't define it exactly, but they gave us, I think out of a sign of respect, 20 boats of oil, big boats of oil, going through the Hormuz Strait. And that's taking place starting tomorrow morning, over the next couple of days, a lot of boats. And I would only say that we're doing extremely well in that negotiation, but you never know with Iran because we negotiate with them and then we always have to blow them up, whether it's the B-2 bombers or just terminating, as an example, the Iran nuclear deal done by Barack Hussein Obama, probably the worst deal we've ever done as a country, one of the dumbest deals we've ever done. But I terminated it, unfortunately, otherwise right now they'd have a nuclear weapon. Then we did the attack with the B-2 bombers and we stopped them from having nuclear. And now we had to blow them up again. And we will probably, I think we'll make a deal with them, pretty sure. Whether it's possible, we won't. But we've had regime change, if you look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed, they're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. So I would consider that regime change. And frankly, they've been very reasonable. So I think we've had regime change. I mean, we can't do much better than that. The regime that was really bad, really evil was the first one. That was done. The second was appointed, and they're gone. They're all dead, other than one who may have a little life in him. And then they're really in the third group, and the third group of people that seem to be much more reasonable. It truly is regime change. And regime change is an imperative, but I think we have it automatically. I did something today. We just got these in from the architects. A lot of people are talking about how beautiful the ballroom is. For 150 years, they've wanted to build a ballroom at the White House. And other presidents have wanted it. When we have dignitaries coming, like President Xi of China or anybody else, we have very small rooms. They're not big enough to handle the kind of capacity that you need. And this is the same height as the White House. It's an incredible fitting. You see what that is, right? Nice. I'll show you. Here's another view. This is coming from right opposite the Treasury building. Beautiful Capitol. Beautiful building. One of the, I think it'll be the finest ballroom of its kind anywhere in the world. A lot of people are giving it really good reviews. Some are giving it reviews without even seeing the building, because this just came out today. These pictures we just made today. We got rid of, quite a while ago, the stairs on the south side, and it's become really beautiful. But it matches and fits the White House. It's also capable of handling the inauguration. We have all bulletproof glass. We have drone-proof roofs, ceilings. Everything's drone-proof and bulletproof. And unfortunately, we're living in an age where that's a good thing. And this is the view from the Treasury, opposite the Treasury. Let me see another one of them. Here's a view on the south with the porch, which is a porch, and it's also a fire stair, basically leading down to the grounds. And that porch will be magnificent, looking in between the columns. They no longer, we took the stairs out that were on the south side and really replaced them with these stairs. So you have an open porch and you have the closed porch under the columns, overlooking the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Memorial, and the Lincoln Memorial / Monument. So that's great. This is a view of the columns as they are going to be made. They're going to be hand carved and they're beautiful. Top of the line. They'll be Corinthian, which is considered the best, most beautiful by far. Okay.
What's your timeline on this thing?
Timeline. So we're ahead of schedule and under budget. And all of this money, all of the money paid are paid by myself and donors. It's all donors. There's not one dime of government money going into the ballroom. Now the military is building a big complex under the ballroom, which has come out recently because of a stupid lawsuit that was filed. But the military is building a massive complex under the ballroom, and that's under construction, and we're doing very well. So we're ahead of schedule. It's part of it. And the ballroom essentially becomes a shed for what's being built under the military, including from drones and including from any other thing. The glass on the windows, you see the big windows, the glass is extremely thick. It's high-grade bulletproof glass. So all of the windows are bulletproof. I think the Times wrote, gee, some of the windows are fake. We have no fake windows. They talked about a stairway in the south. We don't have a stairway in the south. That was replaced a long time ago. But this is a view of it from the north. And that's, if you see it, it fits in with the White House. It's almost a twin to the White House. It's something we just wanted to pay tribute to the White House. And so that fits in beautifully. Let me just see another one. Here's another one. Wait, excuse me, wait. I thought I'd do this now because it's easier. I'm so busy that I don't have time to do this. But I'm fighting wars and other things. But this is very important because this is going to be with us for a long time. And it's going to be, I think it'll be the greatest ballroom anywhere in the world. It's its highest level. Same height, exact height, if not higher. Same height as the White House, exactly the same height. And if you look, you have the White House over here, you have this, and that's a duplicate of the wall. So it pays total homage to the White House, which is, I think, very important.
Mr. President, deal in Iran this upcoming week.
Say it?
Sir, could you foresee a deal in Iran this upcoming week?
I do see a deal in Iran, yeah.
Mr. President,
could be soon, too.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress?
I just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them all because of the power. Look, I would say we're just like we're ahead of schedule on the ballroom. In a much bigger way, we're ahead of schedule with Iran. We're weeks ahead of schedule. If you would have said that in 3 days we were going to knock out 158 ships, their entire Navy, which we did, we knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out most of their missiles. That's why you see missile attacks, but they're sputtering. And we have a group, it's really a new regime. It's a new group of people that we've never dealt with before, that are acting very reasonable. It is truly regime change.
Is Khamenei's son still alive, sir? Is he a part of these conversations?
He may be. Nobody's heard about him. He may be alive, but he's obviously very seriously in trouble. He's seriously wounded.
You had offered that 15-point plan to Iran. Did they ever come back with a response?
They came back on the 15-point plan.
What did they say?
They gave us most of the points. Why wouldn't they?
You make it sound like they've made some concessions. Can you identify those?
Well, they're agreeing with us on the plan. I mean, we asked for 15 things, and for the most part, we're going to be asking for a couple of other things. And just to prove that they're serious, they gave us all these votes. When I talked about 4 days ago, a present, I said they gave me a present, but I didn't think I was at liberty to say what it was. What it was 8 plus 2. It's 10 massive boatloads of oil. And today they gave us another present. They gave us 20 boatloads of oil, and that starts being shipped tomorrow. We're having very good meetings, both directly and indirectly, and I think we're getting a lot of very important points.
Sir, were you caught off guard when the Senate passed the DHS funding bill?
It's a shame. They should really just go to a filibuster. They should terminate the filibuster.
And will you
and they should vote. That's what I think. Look, I think the Senate is playing it too soft. The Republicans are wonderful people, but we're dealing with very sick individuals. The Democrats are sick. There's something wrong. They're like terrorists, and we have to protect our country. We have to protect our border. We have to protect our wall. It was up to them. They'd open up the world and let millions of people pour into our country again. And we've all been through that. And I don't care if you're liberal or you're conservative. What we have now is we have a beautiful closed border. We're getting murderers out of our country that Biden let in, the administration, the Democrats. We're getting the drug lords out of our country. We're bringing them back to other countries where they came from all over the world. We have great crime numbers despite the fact that they let in 25 million people. And we're focused on the bad ones. I mean, the ones that came in, we'll work on something, but we have to get the killers out. We have to get the drug dealers out. We have to get the criminally insane. We have people that are criminally insane. They are unbelievably violent people that come out of insane asylums. The Democrats want them protected. I want them out. They have to be
Would you
out.
sign a DHS deal
You
without
can't have a
ICE?
country if they're here.
Would you sign a DHS deal without ICE funding in it?
ICE is vital to the well-being of our country. ICE, first of all, they're great patriots, but they are physically and mentally very strong people. And they are able to protect us from the animals that have been sent in, allowed to be sent in by the Biden administration, where you have people, jails were prisons from Venezuela, from the Congo, from all over the world, from every continent. They were allowed to come into our country, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. You can't have a soft, weak, sad person deal with this. You need strong people. Now, they love our country. They're very brave. They're very strong, like some of these guys. But you have to have these people removed or you don't have a country. So we had the best crime numbers that we've had. Murder numbers, the best in 125 years. Think of it. Since the year 1900, before my father was born by a lot, we have the best crime numbers. And we're going to keep it that way. And that's despite the fact that so many criminals were allowed into our country. So we need ICE. We need Border Patrol. The last thing you people want to see is our country overrun again by criminals. And that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen. And by the way, our country doesn't want that.
Mr. President, some Republicans, including Senator Mike Lee, say reconciliation won't work to pass the Save America Act because it's not budget related. What's your response to that?
Well, they say, and the parliamentarians going to have to make a decision on that. But I say, end the filibuster, terminate the filibuster, just vote, and you'll get everything you want. You get all 5 things. We have voter ID, we have proof of citizenship. It's so important. Mail-in ballots have to be stopped, with exceptions for the military, for sick people, people that are sick, people disabled, for people that are traveling. If you're traveling, you can vote. But other than that, mail-in ballots are inherently dishonest. Jimmy Carter, in his Carter Commission, said you can't have mail-in ballots. We're the only country in the world that has mail-in ballots. We're the only country in the world that has, we have a big case becoming in the Supreme Court that had to do with the babies of slaves after the Civil War. And instead of that, it's being used as a way for rich countries and thousands of people from China coming in and getting citizenship for people within their family. This is not what they meant when they did that. So that's a big decision coming up. But if you look at it and you look at what we've done here, we have 5 points. We don't want men playing in women's sports. The Democrats do. We don't want transgender mutilization of our children. The Democrats are just fine with it. You could do every child in America. They'd be very happy. We don't want the mutilization of our children. It's transgender, and we're not going to have it. So we want to go into those things, 5 points. And with the filibuster termination, you could vote them all in. The Republicans would have the vote.
President, Leader Thune told me that they do not have the votes to terminate the filibuster. How will you get around that?
But that's part of being a leader. You have to get the votes.
Do you have confidence in Leader Thune?
I like him so much. He's a high quality person. And he told me the same thing. We don't have the votes. Well, he's only a couple of votes short, but that's what being a leader is. You have to get the votes. You have to get the votes. And those people will not be able to withstand the onslaught because Republicans and the country wants it. It's polling at 87% voter ID. Think of it. we talk about Save America, and it's not Save Act, it's Save America Act, because it's saving America. Save Act, nobody knows what it's saving. It's the Save America Act. And you have to have it. You have to have it. The Save America Act, voter ID, all of these things, proof of citizenship. It's an 87% issue with all voters, including Democrats. The only ones that don't want it are Schumer and these corrupt Democrat leaders, because it will not give them the ability to cheat in an election. Look, why wouldn't you want voter ID? There's not a reason in the world you wouldn't want it except to cheat. And if they don't cheat, their policy is so bad, they'll never win another election.
Mr. President, on Friday you mentioned that Cuba will be next. What did you mean by that exactly?
And who will be next?
Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba's going to be next. Cuba's a mess. It's a failing country, and they're going to be next. Within a short period of time, it's going to fail. And we will be there to help it out. We'll be there to help our great Cuban Americans out who were thrown out of Cuba. In many cases, their family members were mutilated and killed by Castro. Well, Cuba's going to be next, yeah.
Are you considering withdrawing Casey Means for Surgeon General and nominating someone else?
Well, we're looking at a lot of different things, and I don't know how she's doing in the nomination process. I'm more focused on Iran, but something like that would be possible.
Mr. President, do you still have
We
confidence?
certainly have a lot of great candidates for this.
Do you still have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard, sir?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Follow up
I
on
mean, she's a little bit different in her thought process than me, but that doesn't make somebody not available to serve.
Is she on the same page
I
as
would
you?
say that I'm very strong in the fact that I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, because if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it immediately. I think she's probably a little bit softer on that issue, but that's okay. Some people are. Most people aren't. Most people are saying thank you very much for doing what you did. They are decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to do everything that we want to do. And you know what? They're going to go on and maybe have a great country again. But if they don't do that, they're not going to have a country. They're not even going to have a country. So she's softer on that issue, but I have other people, not too many. That's an issue that we've had great support. You saw the CNN poll where Trump with MAGA, and I think MAGA is most of the Republican Party, is 100% approval. In fact, the young gentleman that does the poll, who's very good, actually, because he's honest, he said, I've never seen 100% before. I'm 100% in the CNN poll, which just came out. Thank you very much, everybody.
One more thing on Cuba. There's a report that the U.S. is going to let a Russian oil tanker go to Cuba. Is that true?
Well, we have a tanker out there. We don't mind having somebody get a boatload because they have to survive.
So that report is true as far as you know?
Well, I would say, I told them, if a country wants to send some oil into Cuba right now, I have no problem with it.
Do you worry that helps
Whether it's Russia or not, what?
Do you worry that helps Vladimir Putin, though?
Doesn't help him. He loses one boatload of oil. That's all it is. It's fine.
President,
If he wants to do that, and if other countries want to do it, it doesn't bother me much. It's not going to have an impact. Cuba's finished. They have a bad regime. They have very bad and corrupt leadership. And whether or not they get a boat of oil, it's not going to matter. I'd prefer letting it in, whether it's Russia or anybody else, because the people need heat and cooling and all of the other things that you need. Go ahead.
No, the issue of the Strait of Hormuz and Iran control of it and charging tolls. What do you think about that? Or
Well, I have to find out if it's true. They're going to do whatever they have to do. We could close that up in 2 minutes. We could close that up so fast your head would spin.
Do you want to see Gulf countries that are being attacked by Iran to start to fight back?
They are fighting back. Saudi Arabia is fighting back hard. Qatar is fighting back. UAE is fighting back. Kuwait's fighting back. Bahrain's fighting back. They're all fighting back. Actually, they were surprised to be hit. I was very surprised they got hit. And once they got hit, they started fighting very well. We're very strong communications with all of those countries, and they've all been fighting. They're 100% on our side.
Mr. President, how long can you pay TSA workers for? How long can you pay TSA workers for from the One Big Beautiful Bill?
Well, we're going to pay them for as long as we have to. And I will tell you, the ICE workers have been amazing. And that's helping people with their bags. It's very interesting. We put ICE there. And ICE got a very unfair press. They're doing an amazing job getting hardened criminals, murders. 11,888 murders were allowed to come into our country through Biden. And ICE has been amazing. Now, we said, give us a little hand during this period of time, because this is caused by Democrat terrorists. These people are sick. They don't care about our country. They don't care about people. But what it's all about really is they want to have open borders, and they want to have criminals come into our country so they can get more votes, because they're losing votes fast. Look at how I did with the Hispanic population. And now I'm doing even better with the Hispanic population. And that's bad for them. They always had it. Now they don't have it anymore. These are people that want our country to fail, and the voters see that. Thank you very
Mr.
much,
President,
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
sir.
President.
We're together.
Yeah, anyone new here? How's that? Is that better? Is that better? Let me know, please. I see that it's working, but I want to make sure that I don't lose it as well, because I lost the last one. But yeah, it looks like it's working. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. So basically, what I said was, here's what you missed. Okay. Um, I picked that Washington Square picture that I took on the in New York City at Washington Square Park, and this is what I was showing here. Why is okay? I need to do this. Okay. Let us raise a standard to which the wise and the honest can repair. The event is in the hand of God. That was General George Washington, and obviously President. Um, I am speaking to the wise and the honest, am I not? And it is up for us to repair that which has gone south. And I take that very seriously, and I think that we should all take that very seriously, and really understand why we're here. Like, we're here to awaken the rest of the world and to rebuild what we've allowed to crumble. And so that's why I'm here. Uh, that's why I hope that you are here, because we see this as a mission to for the children, not just to save the children that are being trafficked and have gone missing and have been abused, and the innocence that has been lost to the current events of this world and the current demons of this world, but also the children for the next generation and our grandchildren and our families, and I think that's why we're here. And the goal, I believe, should be to repair what has been undone, and that is a noble effort, in my opinion, to pursue and to continue to um, until we, you know, see victory. What does victory look like? Well, um, justice. That's what victory looks like. Justice for those who have committed crimes against humanity. And if you think that President Trump wrote that executive order 13818 to take all the assets of those involved in crimes against humanity, if you think he wrote that for no good reason, I would point you towards other things that he has done that have had very good reason attached to them. He was just asked about Pam Bondi and what he thought of her, and he likes her. By the way, guys, the links to call in are in the chat. Um, I just put it in YouTube. I'm going to put it in Rumble once again. And basically, all you have to do is go through your Facebook or your YouTube account in order to access. Now, I would prefer that not be the case, but my present situation calls for that to be the case. And why is Truth Social taking so long to load the show? I have not been able to load the show on Truth Social for some reason. And I don't do a lot on Truth Social, but I do. Let me see. Let me see if I can get that up and running here. So I thought it'd be a chill Sunday night to kind of come together and just kind of get set for the week, and to hear President Trump, talk about the things that are unfolding, and everything that I see unfolding is pointing to the direction that we were hoping we would be going in years ago. And so here we go. Let me see. I'm muted again, Bow Hunter. Yeah, please let me know, folks. I don't want that to be the case. I think you might be coming into the beginning of the show, Bow Hunter. So I'm sorry. I was muted for a few minutes right at the beginning. Yeah, so the call in line, if you'd like to call in, please hit the link. You don't have to be on camera. You can just come in with your voice, and yes. So so we're 5-5. Okay, good on Rumble, good on X. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Dory. Appreciate that. Heads up on that. Okay, and thank you, Moonbeam. I just got a text as well on that. So, yeah, folks, I thought we'd have a little chat. Tonight, as we await some of the things that are some potential callers to come in. I wanted to talk about something that is pretty amazing. This is Anish Munka that I'm going to share with you. Let me drop this over here. Yeah, my computer's acting up a little bit, folks. My apologies. Now it looks like I'm black. What's going on here? Huh. All right. That was weird. I'm working with a new monitor, and it's big. It's maybe too big because I was thinking I'd like to do the show without my glasses. And if I can read your comments and so forth without my glasses. But I do. It does. I have to look at this other screen too, so I'm probably going to just stay with it. But at any rate, let me share this post with you. This is kind of a different take on the evening. If you have your mother's cells in your brain right now, if she ever carried you, yours are in hers. Scientists looked at the brains of 59 women after they died, ages 32 to 101. In 63% of them, they found their son's DNA scattered across different brain regions. The cells had traveled from the womb through the blood, past the wall that normally keeps foreign material out of the brain, and settled in. The oldest woman still carrying her son's cell in her brain was 94. In mice, those cells became functional brain cells. The transfer starts as early as 7 weeks into pregnancy. Your cells slip through the placenta into your mother's body. Hers slips into yours. One study found the mother still had her son's cells in her blood 27 years after giving birth. After delivery, between 50 and 75% of women carry their child's cells. During pregnancy, up to 6% of women's blood DNA comes from the baby. When a mother's heart gets damaged during or after pregnancy, the baby's cells travel to the injury, latch on, and turn into beating heart cells. Wow. Blood vessel lining and muscle. Heart failure tied to pregnancy has a 50% spontaneous recovery rate. So the baby is healing the mother. Better than every other kind. The Mount Sinai team behind the research thinks the baby cells are fixing the mother's heart from the inside. The cancer data caught me off guard. A study compared healthy women to women with breast cancer. 85% of the healthy group still carried their children's cells. Only 64% of the breast cancer group did. That works out to about 4 times lower odds of getting breast cancer if you keep those cells. The working theory is that they patrol the body and catch cancer cells before they grow. A 2022 study found that in developing mouse brains, mother cells control the brain's immune cells, preventing them from cutting too many connections between brain cells. Your mom's cells helped wire your brain before you were born, and it stacks across generations. A woman can carry cells from her kids, from her own mother, and even from pregnancies her mother had before her. 3 generations of cells from different people living inside one body. Now that, my friends, is God. That is God. Rob Cunningham in the house, my friend. How are you?
It's been a minute, as the youngsters like to say.
It has been a minute, yes, and I'm picking up the youngsters lingo. I've been using that lately. How you doing, man? I've been meaning to reach out and have you on, so I'm so glad you called in. How's
Man,
it going?
it's going great. I had like a revelation download today, and the first person that came to my mind to think, okay, I've got to run this by the Sned master himself, okay, and let
Awesome.
him process this. So I'm going to throw you a fastball
Okay.
live on camera,
All right. Here we go.
I know you'll love it. Okay.
Hold on. Let me get my dancing shoes on. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. All right. I'm ready.
You were
I'm
born.
ready.
You were born with dancing shoes, brother. Okay.
Man,
I don't
thank
know. I don't know why it hit me, but I had this absolute just moment of, I'll call it just inspiration, but it revolves around the Q drop done in 30.
Okay.
Okay. On top of done in 30, we have references to March Madness.
Right. Right.
Thirdly, we've had President Trump's video saying he didn't want to do it on April the 1st, so he did it on April the 2nd. But there's going to be an extraordinary wealth transfer of us getting money back as
Yes.
Americans.
Yes.
Okay.
Covered that the other day. That was
Okay.
exciting.
Okay, let's put 3 of these things together and let's talk about what done in 30 might have meant.
Okay.
Epic Fury started February 28th or the 30th or the March 1st, whichever, depending whether if you're in Iran or you're in the United States, but let's just call it the 28th. Okay. In 30 days, Iraq, which is today at 8 o'clock in the morning, we will know that Iraq has just elected a brand new president. They have broken up a 3-year logjam, and going back all the way to 2003, financial chicanery and IRGC influence and City of London influence in perverting Iraq since 2003. Now, let's put the 30-day window between the February 38th and March the 30th
Okay.
in light of what's happening. What have we done? We've taken out a proxy terror group that has held for 47 years. President 47 has taken out a proxy terror group that has terrorized Iran for 47 years. The City of London has been its financier. They have had weapons pointed at 11 nations in the Middle East. They had 32 of the 44 banks in Iraq infiltrated by the IRGC, perverting the Strait of Hormuz, the energy markets, the oil markets, the natural gas markets, everything. In 30 days, they are going to, if they vote this president in, which it looks like they absolutely will, because they had 220 votes necessary, they'll immediately unlock the trading portals, the corridors. Iraq will be almost ready to connect back on the compliant world stage as a global bank. All of the Abrahamic Accords will be able to begin to function because all the trading partners will be able to trade back and forth because they will be considered or deemed compliant on international standards now that the IRGC have been pulled out of their private banks in Iraq.
Yes.
So in 30 days, we've ended this tyrannical, money profiteering, hidden hand with a proxy out of Iran. We've stabilized the Middle East. We've opened up the oil markets. We've decapitated the terrorist group. We've freed the Iranians. We're leveling the playing field. We're activating the Abraham Accords. We've exposed the City of London, Lloyd's of London, Britain, our special relationship partners in the City of London, NATO, the EU, Five Eyes, CIA, Federal Reserve, which is an extension of the City of London, the deep state. In 30 days, we're taking the boot off of the energy carotid artery of the world in the Hormuz Strait. We're leveling the playing field. We're exposing the NGO assholes. And April 2nd, Trump says a whole bunch of wealth is coming our way. Done and could we have done a flipping of the money changer tables or leveled the playing field in 30 days?
I tell you, I was looking at Limitless today, and I know you follow Limitless, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And all that you've mentioned, right? Do you understand what happened in the last 72 hours? Egypt shut down its shops at 9 p.m., mandated work from home Sundays, and the government internally called it war economy mode. 4 days after the IMF praised them and unlocked 2.3 trillion. Turkey's central bank burned through 30 billion in March, defending the lira. And by the way, that was 2.3 billion, the earlier one. In March, defending the lira, the finance minister everyone called a genius is now considered selling the national gold reserves. Pakistan's PM went on national TV on EID and announced the government's salary cuts and 50% fuel allocation reduction. They approved a $358 million austerity fund, and nobody asked austerity from what. Russia banned cash exports above 100,000 and gold bars above 100 grams. Putin signed on it March 26, called it fighting the shadow economy. And we know that Putin is working with Trump to end the global cabal. Iraq banned 22 banks from USD transactions, cashless mandate for all government institutions coming July 2026. South Korea launched a literal wartime economic response body on March 25th. The prime minister chairs it. India secretly created a 6.7 billion economic stabilization fund. It wasn't in the news. It was buried in a budget supplement. Lebanon's currency collapsed 98%. The war added 14 billion in damage on top. Every single government on this list told their citizens the economy is doing fine within the last 30 days. All of this a single week. If you're not following me, you're finding out about this 48 hours late from someone who read my post. It's only getting crazier from here. Um, there's so much going on that we're not even hearing about, right?
Well,
And
and again, because they have the censorship industrial complex, they don't want us to hear it. They only
Mhm.
want us to hear. They only want us to hear the bullshit they want us to hear. They're not going to tell us. They don't. They are in full panic mode. If you listen to the ladies from Prometheus Action, they're
Mm,
spot on
yeah,
every day.
yeah,
They're badasses,
yep. I
right?
showed quite a bit here on the show.
Yeah. So, it really goes back. If you want to talk about being biblical, you can't serve two masters. The hidden hand masters of the world since the 1694. The
Mm.
Rothschilds have been running this central banking scam out of the Bank of England,
Now,
right?
yeah, you made a great point that people don't tie Iran to the city of London.
They have to.
Yeah, yeah. That and it's all, in the media, it's all about Israel. And now look what's coming out about Israel and Netanyahu and October 7th.
And guess who funds them as well? The City of London.
Yeah, because
Look,
Rothschilds created.
all wars are bankers' wars. You keep everyone fighting each other. You profit enormously from bankers' wars, and you look like you have nothing to do with it. You can't have a fingerprint on the situation, but look. I tell this to people all the time, Dave. We owe supposedly it's all fraud because fraud vitiates everything. But the story is we owe $39 trillion to a little 1 square mile area on the Thames River called
Right,
the City of London Corporation. They don't build anything, grow anything, hire anything, manufacture anything, distribute anything. They control capital markets and FX rates. How do we owe $39 trillion, and why do they own every asset that backs every so-called dollar of debt? It's not a dollar, it's a Federal Reserve note, right?
right.
So how do we as a nation that's strong and vibrant owe $39 trillion to 1 square mile patch of land next to the river to a bunch of damn blue blood assholes?
Yeah. And by the way, speaking of the fiat currency, how about the announcement this week that President Trump is going to be signing all currency going forward?
I did an article on that, Dave, a tweet about 3 days ago and got 350,000 likes on it. I
Oh, good
mean,
for you, man. That's
I don't care. It was just so like 9 deltas off of normal. I was like, where the hell? I don't have that many followers. Okay. I got like 80 grand or 80,000 or something, but
right.
it just hit a nerve at the right time because again, when first time, 250 years. Okay, we've never had a president sign it.
Mm,
Everyone that's tried to do anything with the currency has been killed, from Abraham Lincoln to Jackson. They tried to kill him, to Kennedy, they shot Reagan for gold or whatever reason they shot him. And now they tried to kill Trump multiple times. But I said I can,
Post Rob.
if you look up my post, I don't know if you can find it on my timeline, but I
I think
said,
that's it.
let's make a bet. I've got 4 bets here. Number one, Donald Trump's going to sign the new dollar, and there will not be the words Federal, Reserve, or System on the note. There won't be a pyramid. There won't be an all seeing eye, and there won't be any reference to an NGO on that new dollar. So it will be a United States currency issued by a United States nation, not a world reserve currency backed by an
Right.
NGO or
Right.
controlled by the City of London.
Yes.
So if you'll see, I had ChatGPT just create a front and back of a new dollar, um, without any reference to Federal Reserve note, a pyramid, an eye, or there it is. That might, I don't know if that's it. Keep going, keep going.
Okay.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. You'll see it's a sideways portrait landscape orientation of a dollar, the front and back of a dollar.
Okay.
So when you get to that, you'll see it.
Yeah, you've been
Almost
busy.
there.
You've been busy.
Almost. Keep going.
Holy cow. There we go. Um, There we
There
go.
it is. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. All right. Let's make 4 bets, America. Our new year
Do you
2020.
think for 1 second Donald Trump would sign his name next to the Federal Reserve building and the all-seeing eye and the Rothschild debt note?
Nope. Nope. And we covered this too, just in terms of like what is what
Dave,
is
are you there?
us? Yeah.
I can't hear you. Weird.
Can you hear me now?
Hello.
I've been having a little problem. Can you hear me now? I might need you to drop out, Rob, and come back in. Let's see. How about that? Can you hear me now? Rob? So go out and come back in. Okay. I'm going to kick you from the studio. Come back in. Kick from studio. Let me see. And let me see.
There you go. Now I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Did you do anything on your end, or was that just
I didn't. I did. You just all of a sudden went quiet and silent on me. So I'm sorry about that, but I'm glad we're back.
I kicked your other, you called back, you came back in on another account, I think.
Yes.
So I kicked the other one and then
Cool.
the sound came back. So
Cool.
just so you know, I've been having some problems with Sir Oliver keeps losing my audio. So he just has to leave and come back in. And I think it's a StreamYard issue.
Must be. Must be.
Yeah. So, but just in the sense that, I think this is the last bankers war because I think they're getting rid of the banks.
The central banks, for damn sure, they're going to 195 sovereign banks. It's going to be at the national level, not at the global level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have to have look, as I like to tell people all the time, Jesus flipped over the money changer tables not because he hates money, he hates fraud.
Right.
He has no problem with business or commerce or trade or exchange or us being creative and culture and growing together collaboratively. What he hated was 10 cents on the shekel exchange and weaponizing the temple and screwing the people and he flipped over the tables for them being assholes, and 5 days later they hung him on a tree.
Yeah. Was that
But
5 days later?
yeah, it's 5 days later. Yeah.
Wow. 342,000 saw your post. That's amazing. That is awesome. And
it's a freak occurrence, but I think it just hit a nerve,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a reason why, people are still struggling because I do think this April 2nd is going to be something big. Like, what could you see Trump announcing April 2nd?
Well, Dave, I've always had this thesis that Trump, knowing that the 4th of July is going to be an epic, once in a lifetime thing, he's a legacy kind of guy. He's going to want to make certain that all the work and sacrifices he's done since he came down the escalator is going to be lead to an epic event on the 4th of July of this year. So my thesis has been he needs to probably have at least a full quarter, April, May, June, right? In order to really juice the engine, let things start to happen. There's so many things that could happen. The ending of the war, the dropping of the oil markets, the canceling of fraud debt, the gold revaluation, the Clarity Act, the law that gets put behind the wind behind the crypto markets. There's so many pieces of this puzzle that just haven't been, for whatever reason, the timing hasn't been right yet because maybe people are still asleep. I mean, I did a post earlier today too about all the different, let's list all the reasons, all the answers to nothing's happening, and you just go through the list of all the things that have happened, all the things that have been shut down and ended from I mean, it's nuts, but what's your best guess, Dave? How many people are still completely brain dead asleep and don't think anything has happened and he hasn't done anything?
Well, that's a great question. Um, I think that it's first of all, if you look at media, it's it's 9 out of 10, right? In terms of because they're still, and I believe that those marching orders, and I think you do as well, are from the white hats. Like I think that the way to, I'll give you an example. How do you expose a liar? Well, you set them up to lie about something that people find out very quickly is not true. And then that exposes the liar. You don't expose a liar by shutting them up.
No.
You expose a liar by getting them caught, lying, and so everyone can see that they're lying. So media 9 out of 10. Now the problem with many, and by the way, are many of our relatives and many of our friends and associates and business associates and so forth, coworkers. We still have that big divide because they have TDS, right? Or they think that being a Democrat is still a good thing, which which is which is
That's
mind-boggling.
almost as stupid as thinking Republican's a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, right? And by the way, and I've been talking about this quite a bit, and I'll get back to the numbers. I'm jockeying for time, No, but I'll get back to the numbers. But I've been talking about the three, sides of the government, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, and how all three have to be exposed. And with the executive, we're seeing Obama. I mean, Prince Salman just came out and said that the IRGC got 150 billion from Obama, and they didn't build roads, they didn't build anything, they built weapons
Mhm.
and worked on their nuclear weapon capacity, which was also given. They were given uranium from the Uranium One deal with Hillary Clinton, and that's why Korea was bombed. Q says, "I can't believe no one questioned us on that matter when that mountain collapsed in the first term." And then the bombing of Iran's nuclear capabilities in the second term. Those are the only things that Trump has bombed, and it's because of what Obama and Hillary Clinton did with Uranium One and with all that money. So Trump, and then of course the auto pen with Biden and all of that. So he's exposing the executive, the legislative. Do nothing. He said the Republicans are just they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing right now. And we're seeing that. Like everyone's witnessing that. But if we weren't witnessing that, then it would almost look like Republicans are okay. But we have to expose all of them that are under foreign influence. And then you've got the judicial. We see the local judiciaries that are letting murderers out back on the streets, and it's just ridiculous. And then the federal, and here's the thing that I've been talking about the past couple of weeks, Rob, is that the Supreme Court, like I told my audience that they were not going to rule with Trump on the tariffs. And I believe that was scripted. And I believe that Trump knew exactly how to get around it. That was already ready. Like his executive order was ready, how they were going to shift the tariffs around that, and his criticism of the Supreme Court. And so that the Supreme Court's being exposed because, Roberts doesn't survive FISA. Those were his judges. He's going down with FISA. So the Supreme Court's going to be all the way to the top. All three sides of the government are being exposed right now. Oh, and the thing I've been talking about is we know that the inauguration of Joseph Biden was not shot on that day,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Uh, B, was not shot live even, because I proved that with that one frame of video where Hunter is on the right side of the stage, and in a cross dissolve, he's on the left side of the stage in the same frame.
And the weather is different on 2 different days.
Yeah, and the weather and the people shifting around,
Yeah.
they moved
Right.
him around. So we know that that was not shot on the day. So who was there? Sotomayor and Roberts. They know. They know that that was an illegal inauguration. So they have been in on it or have been complicit since then, if not before. And so
The thing that we don't know, Dave, is what are the deal maker, the art of the deal, the man that does nothing but deals his entire life has either said, look, you're going to get the guillotine or you're going to play along. I mean, it's one of those two. We just don't know. We just don't know what those deals are.
Exactly.
And the point of the matter is, I believe for whatever reason, these people are smart as hell. Just to your point as well, to let everyone know, and I know your audience is brilliant. They know all this sort of stuff, but I'll just connect the dot on. The minute Trump went into Iran, what's the very first thing our special relationship partners did was they didn't help. They didn't send any aircraft carriers. They didn't applaud. They didn't say we stand with our special friends. They can't. They canceled the insurance policies on the tankers in order to try to weaponize oil prices and put political pressure on Trump. So if that's what a friend does, if that's what NATO does, if that's what the EU does, if that's what the City of London and Lloyd's of London does, I'd hate to see what my enemies do.
Exactly.
Right? But he and Bessette were 1,000 steps ahead of them. They knew what they were going to do. They gave him a test and they failed the test.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
so he's exposed of it.
Yeah. And by the way, whether or not that part of it is part of the white hat script, right? Because we know that England capitulated, right? In the first term. And we've seen, I mean, if the royal family was on the stock market, people would have been selling that stock, dumping that stock, man. That stock would have gone down so fast, right? It doesn't matter who you are in the royal family, dude. Your stock is worthless, right? And so whether or not that's a white hat capitulation script, like you guys are going to come in late, and Trump's going to bash you with, next time we need you to send an aircraft carrier after the war's over, we'll let you know, it's like they're teeing it up for Trump perfectly. So perfectly, it makes me believe it's a white hat script. But if it's a black hat script, it's working just as well. It's working perfectly, right? Because of what you just said about how, all right, we gave you the chance. Are you going to support us? Or are you gonna try to crash oil price or raise oil prices around the world, based on your insurance of the tankers in Hormuz. So it's really, I mean, this is going along swimmingly, right? So back to your question about the percentage of people, like a lot of the percentage of people cannot have that conversation that you and I just had. They're having a conversation of, Trump's in Israel's, doing
back pocket,
pocket, right? And by the way, that's why I stopped listening to Charlie Kirk. That's why I stopped listening to Candace Owens. That's why I stopped listening to a lot of these people, because they were trying to tank Trump based on the things he was doing with Israel. But like I've said many times, the two greatest, in my opinion, tools that Rothschilds, Khazarian control mechanism of Israel use to control us is the media. And look what Trump has done with media. Okay. If he was with Israel and all that, he would not be calling them fake news and calling them out. You're the worst reporter I've ever seen, da 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 da,
Yeah.
And by the way, leaving them in the room to expose the liars, right? To expose these people, right? Because if he just wouldn't let them in, he wouldn't do as good a job doing that. And then the second thing is the banks. They've controlled humanity through the banks. And look what President Trump is doing with the banking structure, with crypto, with the new currencies, the
Stable coins,
stable coins,
gold revaluation, the whole look, think about this. Think about how I did a post earlier today too, where I talked about, you can't pay off debt with debt. You
Mhm,
can't fix hate with hate,
mhm.
right? You can't fix control with more control. You
Yeah.
can't fix, you can't fix deception with deception. You can't fix, dark with more dark, right? I mean,
Right.
you can't do a double negative. They just doesn't in quantum physics or any other reality, it doesn't work. So you have to go dark to
Math,
light.
math as well. Two
Say that
negative
again.
and
Yeah,
math as well.
correct. So think about the art of war with deception being the most powerful weapon in warfare.
Mhm.
Sun Tzu, all the way around the back. You have to use deception and fake left and go right. But the reality of it is we're not going to out hate, out kill, out poison,
Right.
out lie, out deceive our enemies. If we're going to have freedom, we are going to have to jujitsu them and
Mhm.
expose them and let them fall by the weight of their fraud and their lies.
Mhm.
And there's too much, shall know them by their fruit. The fruit that has fallen from President Trump's tree since he came down the escalator in
Yep.
2015, it is utterly impossible to be anything other than the fruit from a healthy tree that's producing the things that are in the column of liberty and life and freedom and independence.
Mm, beautifully said. I think that about 30% of the population is still like parroting mainstream media. I think about 10% of those are ready to break free from that. And I see, like every major thing that's popping up, I think is converting slowly but surely, slowly. The numbers are jumping over to Trump and said, "Yeah, I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong." But I think 30% of those still their ego is getting in the way of allowing them to be wrong, which all of us, by the way, who have awakened have had to say, "You know what, Rob? I thought I knew what the hell was going on. I didn't have a clue."
They got me too. We had to get to the point where we said, you know what? I've been lied to about everything my whole life.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the courage to admit that to yourself,
Mhm.
then you're going to hang on to your pride.
But we're the ego driven, trying to change people's minds, trying to convince them. Meanwhile, we've had to check our ego at the
Right.
code check, right?
Right.
Check our ego and say, I thought I knew what the hell I was doing. I think I was 41, 42 when I had to say, you know what, I'm a dumb shit. I better figure stuff out. And so I think those 30% that haven't yet awakened, we see them in our families and so forth, that maybe like 10% are ready to like, okay, yeah, I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. And once they start shifting over, I think they're going to turn the rest, over and it may take another event Like maybe it's the money thing, and some people are still clinging on. It's like, I don't trust Trump. I don't trust Trump, you know. Um, but then they see their friends saying, you know what? You know, did you hear this? Did you hear that? I'm done with the Democrat Party. I'm done with this deep state. I'm done, you know. And then I think it'll trickle, and then Q said, I think it was 4 to 6% will never
Right.
come around, right? So that those are my numbers. How do you what are your thoughts on the numbers?
Yeah, I think we're pretty close there. You know, the thing too, Dave, that I get is it's always only taken a couple of percent, 1% or 2% to lead an entire nation for good or for bad, right? So,
Mm,
and again, we live in a world where somebody always says this all the time. Derek Johnson says it all the time. 60 or 65% of the people can't name the three branches of government. So we don't need a massive majority to change us back from a corporatocracy, the United States of America Inc., that was
mhm.
hijacked by the city of London back in 1871 in order to break us free and get us back to a sovereign republic, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, we got King Charles coming over here to celebrate President in June, President Trump's brand new US currencies coming off the printing press in June. And the king is going to come over and celebrate it with the president of the United States. So
You can't
again,
make that up,
you
man. I
can't
mean,
make that you
you and I
can't
were
make
writing
that
a
up.
script on that, we'd be like, yeah, maybe that's a little bit too much. Maybe that's you know, it's like no one's gonna believe that. You know what I mean?
They're going to have the biggest look at the US debt clock. Have you pulled that up today?
I have not. Let me
Pull that up right now. And let your audience see that.
go
You
to
want to talk? Oh my God, there's so many comms. We could spend 2 hours going on the U.S. debt clock
right.
image that's got the flotilla of boats, like the Nino Pinta and the Santa Maria, like white flagged uh, ships with well, first
Wow.
that's a good one too.
Wealth
But
tsunami. Wow.
yeah, the Wealth Tsunami is a good one, but the one
Holy
before
cow!
it.
JP Morgan is on
Yes.
the $100. That's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. I don't
I
know.
just
Can you go to the image that was before that one?
let me
I
see.
don't know if there's an archive of the images or not, but um
Um,
it
let
was
me
like
see. Somebody will have it on X. Let me pull it up. And but I just had a conversation with a table full of people that are awake to some things, but completely asleep to others.
Mhm.
And I mentioned the Titanic, and I told them the whole story, and no one had heard it. Um, and it's like. Uh, that's such an important story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's show this here. This is a monumental difference. Um,
You'll see the three boats are like the Christopher Columbus's
okay.
boats. Um the other story that you could share with them, Dave, to newbies is um the Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's very relatable. And if you let them see all the allegorical stories, the tax identification number, the Tin Man, the
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz, Oz is gold, the Green
The
Emerald
straw
City,
man. The straw man.
The straw man, right? All of that stuff is just they were smart enough back then to know if they came straight out and said the truth, they'd be killed. So
Yep.
they had to make a parable.
Yep.
Um,
The yellow brick road.
yeah, all of
Gold.
that.
This I'm
You
not
don't
seeing
see
that one. Let me pull up the debt clock and let me see. And by the way, while I'm looking for that, why don't you, if you wouldn't mind, go over with my audience your post here and just read that aloud to them because that's a fantastic post here.
Well, brother, I don't know if I can see it or not. I'm on my, you know what?
Oh, okay.
Let me do this. I'll turn my laptop on and I'll be able to see it from there. But I'm on my phone right now and
Awesome.
makes it really hard to see. But I'll be on here in just a second. Uh, If
And
I've got,
going straight to the debt clock.
my laptop's dead, no battery. So,
I had to
uh,
plug mine in too when you came on. When I went dark there for a minute, I had to plug mine in. Yeah, I'm not seeing the
that's
boats.
okay. That's okay. Let me give you another. I don't know if you followed the gentleman that just, he's new to me. I think I've just found him in the last week, but his X call sign is Reset Intelligence.
Okay.
If you you might want to pull his site up. I started following him, and he's, I don't know where he sources his information from, but you can read it. It resonates in the soul. You know it's true. You can fact check it. It's all
Is this
there.
is this the
That
one?
Reset Intelligence. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's really, really good.
Good to know. I was not following him, so I just followed him.
Super. Yeah. I've had a nice couple of chats back and forth with him, DMs and texts.
Nice.
Um,
Exit underscore fiat, folks. At
yes.
exit underscore fiat.
Highly recommend him as a follow. Super, super good.
Awesome.
Um, but you know, it's I just I cannot believe that we're alive at a time like this where the
Mm,
whole world is going to be reset. And just to give everyone an idea from my vantage point of where, think of edge computing, where everything is being pushed out to the data is being pushed out to the far edge instead of at the hub of the middle, like a Hartsfield Airport's a hub and spoke system, right? The
mm.
central bank is the airport, and everybody comes in. Well, the whole world is flipping the opposite of that. Think of what Tesla does.
And by the
All
way,
the
for those who aren't familiar with the Hartsfield Airport, it's you start at the main terminal and then you go to A, Terminal B, Terminal C, and it goes out from the main
D,
terminal.
E, F, and it's a hub and spoke system, right? Everybody flies in and out of one spoke, whereas in distributed computing or edge computing where we're headed to now, like a
Mhm.
Tesla, almost all of the data on a Tesla car stays on the Tesla car. Only when it's needed does the system go out and get a little piece of information and access it, and doesn't store the data. The data is stored at the car. The driving pattern, the braking speed, the weather patterns, the time of day, the how fast they start and stop, and all that sort of, all the data about the driver data is it's kept at the edge instead of hoarded in this big, like, massive storage center. So
Mm.
when it's necessary, it's received. Well, that's sort of what's going to be happening with banking. If you think of nodes and wallets and money held at the extremities and information held at the extremities, I mean, 3 to 5 second settlement. They've got to go out and they got to check. Do you have the wallet? Is the money there? Has it been double hypothecated? Is it you? Is it really you? You know, are the laws in compliance with the city, state, and nation that you're involved in? And all of the same questions have to be asked of Dave. So if I'm going to send Dave $100, in 3 to 5 seconds, they're going to check every single thing about Dave and every single thing about me, and then they're going to put a final ledger entry on 300 copies of the ledger around the world, and done.
Mm.
No time delay, no time to screw anything, no time to lose any records, no time to cook the books. No way fraud can happen. They're going to go out, they're going to verify and validate everything that's necessary. The ledger's going to be updated, and all of that graft and all of that crap and all the deception and time delays and errors and retitling and theft, monkey works, that can't get done in 3 to 5 seconds. Final is final. When I gave Dave $100 and he's got it, boom, it's final, it's done. There's no arguing. Now the ledger's there. If we ever have to go to court in 6 weeks or 6 years from now, the ledger's the ledger. There's
Mhm.
only one ledger of truth. There's not 6 copies of truth. There's not 6 different variations. There's one copy of truth.
Yes. And by the way,
Period.
speaking of giving Dave $100, just want to thanks for teeing that one up for me, Rob. There we go.
Sure.
Donations are appreciated, my friends. These lights are on because of your love for information, a love of information, and your support of this broadcast. Thank you very much for those who support this show. Yeah, so this whole ledger thing is going to change everything because there's, I mean, the fraud and the waste and the percentages that are being pulled away from the wealth of humans because of transactions is absurd.
5 to 8% on average is the overall every time you move money from point A to point B. That's the global average. Money, fees, opportunity costs, loss rates, servers, the employees that run Visa and MasterCard, American Express, and all the banks and
Mm.
all the infrastructure and all the crap, the slowness, the opaqueness, the law, all of Dave, if you want to tie all of this back to President Trump's January 2017 inauguration, when he said, I'm returning the power back to you, the people.
Yeah,
Power is money. If
and the
he's returning the
military.
power back to the people, he's
Yeah.
returning the money back to, because in Washington, D.C., money is power. That's their God of Washington, D.C. They serve money. They sell out anybody and anything for more money. You don't get to be a bartender in a $35 million net worth AOC unless money runs the joint. It's
Mhm.
all a money laundering, money washing operation. And if he's going to return power back to you, the people, then he's got to cut the spigots. He's got to change the way money flows and how it flows. And it's got to go point to point, person to person, entity to entity, instead of through the Hartsfield terminal. And then they decide subjectively which airplane gets how much money, which passenger, who do I know? Instead of trust in institutions, it's trust in verifying data. We're going to verify transactions, not trust institutions.
Mhm.
That's a very, very different thing.
Um, absolutely, and they're held accountable.
100% accountability, autonomous, with atomic settlement. Automatically, boom.
Mhm.
There is no darkness in the light. When
Right.
the light is there and the ledger updates, it happened or it didn't, fraud happened or fraud didn't happen, there was mutual consent or there wasn't mutual consent. There's one ledger of truth. Everyone did an oath and they attested that this is a factually occurred. Rob was Rob. We checked his wallet. We checked his ID. We checked his assets. We checked to see if he was if already rehypothecated the assets somewhere else. Is it Rob or is it somebody in South Korea saying he's Rob? All of that compliance, regulatory licensing has taken place. And in 3 to 5 seconds, the nefarious actors who feed at the trough can't do anything nefarious.
Right.
People that want to call this the beast system have no idea what they're talking about because the beast system has been what we've been living in for at least 150 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been the beast system. It's like debt slavery, poisoning, the food, the air, the water, the vaccines, the medicine, the kids in the school, the soil, the everything has been death, destruction, poison, lies, slavery, division, warfare. What what day have you and I been alive on a planet where that wasn't reality?
Mhm.
All funded by counterfeit money, counterfeit paper.
And it's been that way since 1913, and that is one of the things that is going to wake up the masses. I think the returning the power to the people. We all remember that that was when he had the military come out and stand behind him
Yep.
for that brief portion of that speech, and it was like that's never been done before. So what exactly is going on here? This whole thing is being very it's been foretold, it's been
Yes.
predicted, it's been told to us without question. And this April 2nd situation. So, do you think? And I want to share this with the with everybody here. This is President Trump speaking to that on Air Force One here.
April 2nd is a liberating day for our country. We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away.
We're going to be giving back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away.
Because they had no clue what they were doing. And April 2nd, I would have made it April 1st, but you know what April 1st is? April Fool's Day. I figured, I don't like doing it, but I made it April 2nd. So it's a liberation day for our country. Because we're going to be getting back a lot of the wealth that we so foolishly gave up to other countries, including friend and foe. Yes.
Including friend and foe.
That'd be Friday, by the way. Just another Friday in America.
There you go. Okay.
No. Thursday. I'm sorry, Thursday. Wednesday's April the 1st. It'll be Thursday. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Thursday. There you go. What do you see as an announcement that might come out, or he might give? What do you think? What would you like to see him actually say on April 2nd?
I would like him to, at some point in time, Dave, the world has to understand that we're going to sound money and not debt instruments anymore. We can't pay off debt with debt. So going to sound money, it could have anything from a gold revaluation. It could have anything from Dr. Jan talking about 800 planes of military planes bringing gold over. It could be talking about cancellation of debt. It could be talking about, remember USAID, they funded 55,000 NGOs.
Mm-hmm.
How much theft was that? And how many years did they do that?
Right.
So where did that money end up? I mean, it has to be somewhere. Where was it potentially collected from? Wherever the wealth is underneath the Vatican, whether it's in England, whether it's in, the wealthy families of the Chinese Republic that are friends of ours that really want to see the world to, be free and, peace again. I mean, how do we have a president wants to be the president known for peace and 60 or 70 nations already in the board of peace,
Mm-hmm.
walking away from the United Nations, walking away from NATO, walking away from the EU. I don't know. EU is going to just dry up and die. They don't build anything. They don't make anything. They don't grow anything. Their whole solar and DEI and, wind and battery, they don't make any batteries. And now the battery thing has gone away. It's a green new scam deal. How
Yeah.
are these people going to support themselves when they can't steal from us and they can't use this wealth extraction model with their junk science? And we cut the cord from the EU and London and these idiots that are in love with junk science ideology.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to live when they can't extract our wealth anymore? But it's a two-pronged thing. We have to stop the wealth extraction, but we have to recover what they have extracted. So it's
Yeah.
a two-step thing. I honestly, the guy never ceases to stop amazing me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to guess because it might be, I'll probably guess too low what he's going to do.
Right. I mean, yeah. And by the way, let me take us to this. This is President Trump back on the campaign trail in 2024.
But I think of the United States, every day is April Fool's Day. And they said, "Sir, what do you mean by that? I don't like the sound of that." I said, "Well, listen to this." And I just gave a couple of ideas. We have open borders when they should be closed. It's April Fool's Day. We have prisoners people from, as we just said, mental institutions and terrorists being dumped into our country when they should not be accepted. April Fool's Day, right? Who would do that? Who would do this? Who would allow prisoners in? He goes, Biden. He said, Brandon.
Brandon, let's go, Brandon.
You're both right. But I think of the United States every day is April Fool's Day.
He's funny, man. He is funny. So he was alluding to that, as well, like, the April Fool's Day. And he brought up April Fool's Day again, which, as we know, he links back to, previous mentions of April Fool's Day. And so, it's certainly, if it's not April 2nd that this all goes down, Q said, when has POTUS said something that didn't, turn out to be true?
Never.
He hasn't done it.
Yeah.
And every time he does it, and this was so clear just recently when he called the Somalians garbage. And everybody was like, oh, I can't believe, I wish my president was more presidential. And he's, he's racist and he's saying all these things. And within a week and a half, Nick Shirley comes out with his video on this fraud, and it's all Somalis and it's all, and it's like, it's like he wouldn't have said that if he didn't already know what Nick Shirley just discovered. Right. He wouldn't have said that. And by the way, you mentioned AOC earlier. How does she, have all this money? And it was they are looking into her for campaign fraud because she spent $19,000 in campaign donations for her work with a ketamine psychiatrist. So this guy was putting her on ketamine, and let me share that real quick because I think that just broke today.
Nearly $19,000 in campaign cash. All right, because AOC could be in some trouble. The New York Post reports that the Congresswoman may have violated federal election law and House ethics rules by misusing nearly $19,000 in campaign cash last year on a psychiatrist known for specializing in ketamine therapy. The National Legal and Policy Center filed a joint complaint with the FBC and the Office of Congressional Conduct, demanding that authorities determine whether the money paid to Dr. Brian Boyle was fraudulently documented as leadership training and consulting. Now, Dr. Boyle is a chief psychiatric officer at Stella Mental Health and is known as the leading authority on ketamine. We have reached out to Congresswoman AOC's office, but we have not heard back yet. So, Kevin, I'm sorry because
Shocker.
Yeah. It's they're all going down. Swalwell today was referred for criminal behavior on a mortgage fraud, which is what and by the way, his response to that said nothing about the mortgage fraud. He didn't say
misdirection much. Yeah.
Oh my God! It's like, oh, president. My my surprise wasn't that President Trump came after me, being the leading vocal against the president in the House. My surprise is that it took him so long to do so. Complete misdirection. Didn't mention I filed the mortgage on such and such date. I did this and this and this. No facts, just misdirection. And so he's going to be.
Well, you got to remember, whenever they have a conversation, if they're not in the well of the House, they're liable for lying, right? They can say anything they want with complete immunity if they're in the floor. But if he's getting interviewed and he lies, then that's evidence that can be submitted against him, and he doesn't have immunity for making statements that are factually provably false.
Yeah. And that's like, getting a guy on jaywalking who committed murder once he crossed the street.
Right.
But the FBI is check this out.
Breaking just moments ago, Fox can now confirm that California Democrat Congressman Eric Swalwell has been criminally referred to the Department of Justice accused of mortgage fraud. Senior White House correspondent Peter Ducey reporting live on this breaking news on Eric Swalwell from the North Lawn. Hey, Peter.
Martha, as I was walking up here to do a hit on a different topic, I got a call from an administration official filling us in that Eric Swalwell, the Democratic California congressman, has indeed been referred to the Justice Department by Bill Pulte, who is the head of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac right now, because he is accused of making false or misleading statements on a mortgage application. We believe that this pertains to a $1.2 million house that Swalwell has in the Washington, D.C. area. Swalwell has already responded. Part of his very long statement says, as the most vocal critic of Donald Trump over the last decade, and as the only person who still has a surviving lawsuit against him, the only thing I am surprised about is that it took him this long to come after me. Like James Comey and John Bolton, Adam Schiff and Lisa Cook, Letitia James, and the dozens more to come, I refuse to live in fear in what was once the freest country in the world. Now, Swalwell has not been charged with anything. This is a criminal referral. Basically, a government agency thinks that they spotted something that is possibly illegal on mortgage documents from Swalwell. The Justice Department will now review these documents to see if a prosecutor believes that charges are worthy in this case, and then we would go from there in the judicial process. Martha.
That's the least of his crimes against us.
That's Mr. Fang Fang, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
resume is long.
Yeah, his lover was a Chinese spy.
Other than that, wasn't he on security
on
the Security Council or something with a Chinese spy lover? I guess he and his wife is cool with that open relationship, or what's?
Yeah, exactly. It's I guess he told her, she said, "Who's Fang Fang?" And he said, "Oh, that's my Halloween costume." So that's how he got away with that one. So this is it's all coming to light, like these people that have been Q said, those you trust the most. And who do we trust? Well, those people that we put in office, those people that we go and and listen to on Sundays, the churches, our accountants. Like, how many accountants out there telling us that that the income tax was never ratified.
Right.
It was never put into law, and yet we're still being harassed and coerced by this private bank. I do agree that it's all going away. And we are in agreement with that. It's just that, and certainly many of us are very tired and want it to happen sooner than later. But it's such a massive operation that I have given over to God. It's like, this will happen when it's, necessary, when it's absolutely ready. And all the things that, he was questioned about Pam Bondi again today. And how many people have gone after Bondi. Meanwhile, in my opinion, I think she's busy building RICO cases, which takes some time.
I think the biggest RICO case we will see is the entire 12-year plus the syndicate of the Clintons. It's all one big, massive RICO money laundering operation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been they've pride go before the fall. They've perfected themselves in fraud and deception, and they felt like they were, they golfed with all the right people. They married all the right people. All of the 5 companies own all the networks. Everybody that's in the club owns the network. I mean, go back to, you want to talk scripture, the power of death and life is in the tongue, right? You can speak, God spoke the world into existence. Well, think about it. What kind of crazy man would come down an escalator in 2015 and kick off his first ever political campaign as president of the United States, calling the media a bunch of fake lying assholes? And he hasn't stopped. Since June of 2015, he hasn't called the people that created it. Why? He has to discredit the liars, and he can't. Again, one of the reasons, why did he not want to make the announcement on April the 1st? Because he didn't want to give a layup to the media people to call him this an April Fool's joke. This wealth transfer is not really going to happen. How appropriate it is for President Trump to make all of these grandiose claims about giving wealth back to the people on April the 1st. He's smart enough to understand he couldn't do it on that date. That would be giving them a free gift they don't deserve. So he pushed it off to the 2nd.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of, the, capturing the fraud, this was Besant today.
10 to 30% they're going to pay back, right?
Yeah.
For people that report fraud.
Exactly. If you report fraud,
I think it's going to be a great way to ferret out waste, fraud, and abuse, starting in Minneapolis, which has been ground zero. So we are encouraging whistleblowers who know about fraud, people who are stealing from the American taxpayer, to come forward. At Treasury, we're setting up a website, and we will be giving rewards up to 10 to 30% of the fines that we levy. I don't know, Joe.
I don't know about you, Rob, but I'm going to report Obama's billions to Iran. Maybe I can get a slice of that.
30% of the fines. Yeah, there you go. I was like, where are the 9 criminal referral? Remember, he got 9 criminal defense attorneys.
Yeah.
Why does the media, how can our cocktail woke-tard neighbors and family members, how can they not connect the dots to go, wait a minute, wait. He has 9 criminal defense attorneys and no one from The View to CNN to PBS to ABC. Nobody wants to talk about it. If Trump went and got 9 defense attorneys, criminal defense attorneys, that would be 24/7 around the clock.
Yep.
Why can't they ask themselves basic questions?
Yes. It's because they don't have basic answers, and they already know that before they ask the questions, right? It's the reason why their only argument is emotional rhetoric and not facts and numbers and so forth. One of the things that that somebody asked is, and I want to see, I had this pulled up a second ago. But let me do this. Let me pull up that question from ParaTD said, I'm waiting for the EBS. Well, I reported on this one that came out on the aspect of the April 2nd number. Captain Kyle posted, let me bring this up for us. Captain Kyle posted that Texas will conduct a statewide drill of local public warning systems on April 2nd. Local partners across the state will test their alerting capabilities to build readiness and confirm reliability of these emergency notifications. And then, the Donald John Trump talking about April 2nd. So that's like kind of a nod to the, EBS that Q has mentioned. Don't know whether that's going to be a factor, because you really don't need the EBS for, to announce the money, right? Like, hey, we found through Doge and through the fraud and through the, central banking structure, we found X amount of money that's coming right back to the country, and it's going right back to you, the people. Um, and that's all we need. That's all we need. And by the way, if that happens, TDS is cured.
What old Carville used to say, it's the economy, stupid. All
Yeah.
of a sudden they get rid of the Internal Revenue Service and the IRS goes bye-bye. They figure out a way to do tariffs.
Mhm.
I mean, it's mind-blowing what the amount of wealth that we have. Dave, the biggest lie that we've ever been told is the lie of scarcity. We have more wealth, more rare earth minerals, more oil, more gold, more silver, more intellectual property, more creativity, more ability to grow farming and to farm and to export and to build things and be creative. Yet the government has myth, they have to manufacture the myth, the scarcity, the only us elected angels that can dance on the head of a pin can
Right.
judiciously spread out the limited resources. You know, they have to make themselves a relevant gatekeeper, a priest class, a middleman, you
Yeah.
know, a savior, so that they can play the role of arsonist, firefighter, and hero. Reelect me, I put out the fire that I started. You
Right.
know, and
Right.
they have to be able to, I call it the 3 card Monty. They're always changing the narrative, changing the story, misdirecting. It's about deception. And the reality of it is every nation in the world has enough resources underneath their feet for every generation that's ever lived: land, water,
Mm.
oil, gold, riches, but they got to go block off 80% of America's land and call it, you know, wetlands or national parks, or, you know, there's the darter whales. You can't have that water. You know, you can't,
How
it's
about that
all
fish in California
the
that,
fish in California. All of it is the regulators regulate the life out of us.
yeah.
This is a group of people that were very intentionally casual and eager to try to poison 4 billion of us to death. There is no red line. This system won't cross in order to feed itself.
Rob, Kevin Setter says the Clarity Act will also be finalized on a Thursday. What are your thoughts on the Clarity Act?
To me, as far as I'm concerned, I could not be more excited. That is the flip of the switch moment. When
Mhm.
you flip the switch and there is board defensible clarity, and money can move legally and lawfully and without any risk that it's a Ponzi scheme, that it's an unregulated wild, wild west environment. When it is board defensible, and if you do not adopt the best business practice, it's like all of a sudden flipping on the switch and going, okay, Netflix is open for business, or you can keep running your Blockbuster shop. How long are people going to stay running a Blockbuster shop before they're out of business? If people don't rush out of the gate, and here's the thing, 25 to 30% of the world's GDP is America. We're going to be the crypto capital of the world with the strongest economy in the world, the AI capital of the world.
Mhm.
And when we lead with legal clarity and it's signed into law, then those around the world are going to want to follow and align with the legal compliance standards that the crypto capital of the world has now adopted. They've already been doing it through the ISO 20022 standards. We already know what the Great 8 protocols are. We already know what Swift is doing. We already know what all the major banks are doing. We already know what the network looks like. They're the reason the central bankers are coming up with every excuse in the world to not let this legislation come about is they're signing their own death notice when they do. They
Exactly.
understand it's just a matter of weeks or months. Once
Yeah.
these horses are out of the barn, they're never coming back to the barn.
And you saw that with the XRP SEC issue. They were
Yes.
right. They were trying to, XRP bad.
Well, Dave, look, your audience, just a little history lesson here. You know, in the world of Gantt charts, when you're going to do project management, you have to take the project that's going to take the longest and start on it first, right? So that you can
What
then
did
do
you
all the
call it?
other ones.
What did you
So
call it? Gantt chart?
the Gantt chart. Yeah, it's just project management planning. You know, when you've got
Okay.
39 things or 343 things you got to get done, you
Uh-huh.
figure them all out, you estimate how long they're all going to take, you kind of prioritize them, but you have to start if you want to get done on a certain date, you have to know which project's going to take the longest, right? So that you
Yep.
can get it started on it as quickly as possible, and then you start working on all the other ones while you're also doing the longest project.
Yep.
On
And by the
February
way,
the on
Betty Cordova says funny 10 to 30% from Besant, 10 days done in 30. Jumping on your theory there. All
I
right.
love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
All right. Please continue. I won't interrupt.
Sure. So no, that's fine. But I want people to understand that Trump got elected, you know, and he gave his inauguration speech on January the 20th of 2017. On February the 3rd of 2017, 2 weeks later, he signed Executive Order 13772. And he said, here are the 7 core principles for a brand new monetary system. Whatever you give me, I need a report. I want a report on a new honest monetary system with these 7 core principles. 18 months later, in July of 2018, he got that report signed by Steve Mnuchin. Okay.
Mm.
Their 222 page report, 225 different agencies were involved in it. Okay. 225, that means SEC, CFTC, Department of Treasury, regulators, investment bankers, you know, financial experts, market analysts, all of the people, every kind of person in the world. So it wasn't like Washington could keep a secret about what was going in to this new blueprint, the new monetary architecture, and
Mm.
who was going to get their asses kicked and who was going to be gutted and how it was going to change. Well, now when Jamie Dimons and the Bitcoin boys and the Ethereum boys and everybody else understands, oh my God, this new architecture, this is going to decentralize the centralized.
Mm.
Wonder why they sued. Wonder why they knew who was going to win. I wonder why they called Ripple a banker's coin or XRP a shit coin, right?
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this, Dave. If XRP can cut out 90% of the fat and the friction and the fees that bankers have been historically making off of that whole money movement process, why would bankers create a coin that took away 90% of their revenue?
Exactly. Exactly.
Maybe they were calling it a shit coin because they knew how much people hated banks. So they wanted people to hate XRP because they knew they had to tell the world that XRP was something that it wasn't to get people to hate it so they
Right.
wouldn't support it and adopt it.
Right. And just, you being awake, Rob, and also being an early proponent of XRP, you also could take all the other things that they demonize, to because it was dangerous to their system, to their
Right.
to their racketeering, right?
Right.
So they're trying to demonize everything, demonize Trump, demonize the border wall was racist, Rob. I don't know if you're you know
Right,
the
right.
ra-
But
it was a racist
raping all the
wall.
little girls along the journey from
Mm.
Mexico up here was just public service, I guess,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
daycare,
yeah,
or community relations. What do you
yeah.
call that?
Yeah. And by the way, one of my listeners mentioned the hell with the money. What about the children? But this is all part of it.
It's
Like,
one of
yeah,
the most valuable commodities these assholes monetize is children and trafficking. It's like their ethos is I can sell a pound of cocaine once. I can sell a little girl 2,000 times.
exactly. And
Right? These
yeah,
people are demonic. They are freaks. They will monetize anything. And we've got to take the power away from them, which is money, And if they
Mhm.
don't have the power, they can't keep the trafficking going. They can't keep the poisoning going. They can't do the narco terrorism anymore. There is hand in glove. You
Mhm.
cannot separate the two.
Yep. It's the biggest commodity in the world, Mikey
Mhm.
B. Yeah. And it's also, the while this money is taking place. Now, if that was the only thing Trump was working on, yeah, I'd have a concern over it. But
Right.
they found 100. Tom Homan at CPAC said they've found 143,000 children that were that had been trafficked. 143,000 out of the 300,000 supposed.
Media is all over that, aren't they, Dave?
Oh, geez.
Come
Yeah.
on. It's just,
Yeah.
you can be a dumb redneck like me. And if you want to figure out how to invest, just do the opposite of whatever the media says and you'll be pretty good. Just always do the opposite of whatever they're jamming down your throat. And that'll probably be 90 out of 10 times, that'll be closer to the truth.
Did you see where they gave some guys gave Pelosi the Trader of the Year award? Did you see
I didn't see that.
that? I showed that the other night, man. They like walked into her office and said, "Hey, we got an award for Senator Pelosi," and it's it's beautiful. I mean, it's just the way that this is being done is also. I mean, he makes us laugh every day. And when he says something so outrageous, "Oh, I'm glad Robert Mueller is dead." It's like, who says that? Who says that? And so people say, "Well, let's find out why he said that," And then they start looking into Robert Mueller, and all the anons are justifying it, saying, "Well, this is why he said it." He did this, he did this, he did this, he ruined people's lives, he wasted $30 million of taxpayer money. It's like a comedy show, Catherine. Like he knows he's got such control over this whole situation. And the white hats have such control over this whole situation, that he's not stressed. He's not. He's like, we got this. We have.
Dave, think of this. Look at this. The little AI that we have on our phone, the little Anthropic, ChatGPT, Grok, whatever it is that we like to use, okay? Microsoft Cloud, it's in our hand. Do you think that we have the adult version, the military version, or the kitty camp version?
Mm. That's a great
I
question.
can guarantee you we don't have what Nikola Tesla had 50 years ago. We do not have anywhere near there. If you think of the Q operation as a beautifully reverse engineered AI program. I mean, we can come up with an idea now, speak to the phone, and it'll create a movie for us in about 13 seconds.
Right.
Right. So think about
And
an
you,
AI type
by the way,
of
you're jumping on that. You're doing some great work with that. I've showed a couple of your posts, and you're doing a nice job with AI. So sorry, please.
well, no, it's just a creative tool. I mean, no tool is good or bad, right? A fork's not good or bad, a gun's not good or bad, a car's not good or bad. You can use it for bad, but it doesn't make the thing itself bad, right? It's the heart of the person that's using it. So if we can curate and create and you look, do guys need to go get black lung disease, or can we send a damn AI robot down there and get the coal out of the bottom of the thing so they don't have to get black lung disease?
Right.
I mean, so I guess my point being is that let's assume that technologies, there's different levels of it, and maybe the military, who Donald John Trump's MIT professor uncle had to go audit Nikola Tesla's estate and tell the idiots in government that there was nothing to see here.
Yeah, he
There's
didn't find
nothing.
anything,
Yeah,
Rob.
he
He
didn't
didn't
find
find anything.
anything. There's just musings of a madman. There's really
Yeah.
nothing here. This guy
Now,
must be
if
off
that
his
guy was looking
rocker.
into my stuff, Yeah, I could see where he wouldn't find much. You know what I mean? But Tesla, come on.
So anyway,
So back
so
to your
back to my
analogy of the
point.
different
Let's
tiers.
just.
Yeah.
It would make perfect logical sense that the Q operation has been a perfectly reverse engineered AI type plan to expose the freaks, the frauds, the liars, the demons, the traffickers, the narco terrorists, the fake governments, the counterfeit money system. And they've been running this plan as I've always said, they've been trying to do two things at the same time: get this done as fast as possible with the minimum loss of life.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
And
this
so
is the
if it
second
took,
era.
if it's taken 10 or 11 or 12 years to unwind this Gordian knot beast system, and they've been doing it for 300 years,
Yeah.
well, nothing's happening. When's it going to happen? I really need this done next week. I. You know
Yeah.
what? Sorry. How about a little context and a little bit of wisdom?
And how about getting in line?
Yeah.
Because there's people that have been at this a lot longer than most of the people that are pissed off and running out of time and you know
Black pilling anybody to listen to them.
yeah, and they haven't been awake as long as we have. They haven't been as awake as long as Jordan Maxwell or Bill Cooper or George Carlin. I mean, those guys they were waiting on you and I. Those guys were like, where the fuck is everybody? Why aren't they waking up? And we're finally waking up. And
Yeah.
and so these people that are just short on patience, it's like, okay, it's time for you all to just cool your jets here, because get in line if you're pissed, okay, behind the people that have been awake for decades. And because
Not-
we've been
and that-
waiting for you to wake up, and you just woke up like yesterday, and now you're pissed because it's taken so long.
And not only that, brother, it's and the more you know, the more you know you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And I've experienced that. The last 7 years has been like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And this March Madness, just the last 30 days has been blowing my mind, right?
Oh, yeah.
Totally blowing my mind. It's like, it's just this ever accelerating just moonshot, all of a sudden of I can't even keep up to think about which dots need to be connected. I mean, just like earlier today, how do you connect done in 30 with an operation on Iran that then trickles over to Iraq, that activates the Abraham Accords, that frees up 11 nations to level the playing field, to end the endless religious wars and military wars between the city of London, who's financing one side, Iran, and the other side, Bibi Netanyahu, or the corrupt government of Jerusalem, and then the television news stations that stir up all the religions in the world to pick sides and argue back and forth over who's going to win the next war. It's been 2 weeks to the nuclear bomb goes off for 25 years with Iran, right? 2 weeks away, 2 weeks, any minute. Oh my God, live in fear for 25 years.
Yeah.
Who benefits from all of that weapons race and arms race and feather bedding of fear and military and spending and dual citizen representatives in the United States House of Representatives that are dual citizen, you know, Israeli citizens?
Yeah.
No conflict there, huh?
Right.
It's like the whole world has been one big dirty ass laundering machine. It's just been a washing machine of filthy lucre, as they like to call it back in the day. Filthy, fake, counterfeit paper printed out of thin air, backed by nothing, and used to pay off anybody that will sell their soul for 30 bits of silver.
Yeah. Have you been following what's surfacing with Netanyahu? And love to hear your thoughts on that, since you mentioned.
I have not, and again, I'm I'm open enough to say I don't know if that's Netanyahu 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't know if who he is. I don't know if we're on Elon Musk 1, 2, or 3. Right?
Right.
I mean, I literally have been humbled enough over the last 10 years, and I know that I know less every day than I did the day before.
Yeah.
That I just, again, you shall know them by their fruit. I can see this Gordian knot being melted and cut apart and burned up and
Yeah.
going away. I can see the matrix falling apart, but the order and the sequence and how it's happening, when the Iraqi dinar is going to be reset, and when the playing fields are going to level, and when the oil is going to drop to $60 a barrel, and when they're going to revalue gold to $10,000 an ounce, and how all of our stolen tax money is going to be repatriated to us when. And look, it's way damn above my pay grade.
Well,
Way damn above my pay grade. So,
a thousand hours of police interrogation footage of Netanyahu has been released, and it's being banned in Israel, but it's going viral. And basically, we found out something that I talked about many, many years ago, was that Israel was funding Hamas. I mean, Ron Paul told us that, many years ago. But he personally arranged for Hamas to receive 35 million every month from Qatar. This was done in suitcases of cash because even banks refused to cooperate. He personally begged Qatar, a country with no ties to Israel, to give money to his enemy. He was doing this while actively under corruption investigation. His own words, under the request of Benjamin Netanyahu personally. Total transferred to Hamas with his blessing over $1 billion. Right?
wow,
Yeah.
wow. Look, it's for Obama to send a 1.8, 1.7, 17, $1.7 billion to
Mhm.
Iran, and however much he did in pallets of cash. That
Yeah.
was not the total amount of it.
Right.
There is These arrogant pricks have always thought they were untouchable until they got touched.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anybody wants to understand what the real unrelenting 10-year hate Trump, get Trump, kill Trump campaign has been about, is
Mm-hmm.
it's a reflection of the depth of debauchery and corruption that has been a part of, you know, there's the two words government and governance. Government is external. Govern means mind, and ment means control. Contentment, resentment, ment. So put the words together. Control mind. Government is about an external source controlling you. Governance is an internal way in which you regulate yourself. We're supposed to be self-governing, not run by government. I did G. Edward Griffin gave a report last week, and I put it out there. If you go to my timeline and look up, just type in either G. Edward Griffin or Fruition Productions. But there's about a 2-minute clip of a woman asking Andrew Jackson, what kind, how do we know that we're going to have good, honest politicians in the government? And you could tell in the clip as G. Edward Griffin was recounting this story about Andrew Jackson he had to bite his tongue. He had to calm himself down. You could hear him talking himself off the ledge. And he basically said, please, good people in government, let's not speak of such things. The people that come to government are of a special ilk and class that are there to be blood sucking assholes, basically. They're not there to serve. This government was only made and built for a moral people. Okay. And in essence, what he was saying was, we've designed it to try to keep them and keep their hands off of what it is that they're capable of doing. But moral people, the system attracts the exact opposite of moral people.
Mm-hmm.
Politics. Poly means many and ticks means bloodsucker. So if you look at the etymology of the word politics, it's many bloodsuckers. Government is control your mind. So the art of war is deception. They tell us they're here from the government. We're from the government. We're here to help. We all know that's an effing joke.
Mm-hmm.
So they deceive us with the words that they use, the spells that they cast, the groupthink, the programming. The power of death and life is in the tongue, right? So, here we go. They cast a spell on us, and my people are destroyed for their lack of knowledge, right? So
Yeah.
we don't know words. We don't know where the words come from. We don't know what the meaning of the words are. Then they make every freaking system they design complicated as shit until what do? We just throw our head, arms up in the air. And we go, well, I'll go to the expert. I don't know how to do this. I'll get the tax guy, the law guy, the doctor guy, the food guy, the builder guy, the license regulator, fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
They get us to just outsource responsibility, give away our sovereignty, let someone else do our decision making for us because they've made the system so damn hard. All I want to do is drink beer and watch Netflix and go to a football game.
We're so beat down. We're so tired. That's all we have energy to do almost. You know what I mean? And it's by design, right? It's like, I just want to unhook. I just want to relax. I just, because we're working so hard just to pay the bills. We're not having the time. I mean, the only reason, people found me in March of 2020. I'd say the majority of people found me in March of 2020 because they were sent home because of this COVID nonsense, and they had time to go online and just try to figure stuff out, and what a gift. What a gift COVID actually was.
It was.
Certainly for those who, didn't have people close to them die from COVID or from the jab.
Dave, do you know about the movie Money Disrupted?
I don't think so.
Have you heard anything about it? Well, do me a favor and look and just on my timeline, just type in Money Disrupted and look at it. Look, I know you didn't know this, okay, but I just don't throw your underwear at me, and I don't sign autographs, okay. But I was in I was in a movie with G. Edward Griffin, and it came
Yes.
out about 30 days ago, and it's a 2-hour documentary that goes from 1776 to 2026, and it's all about the monetary system. It's all about how they from 1871 to the sinking of the Titanic to 1913 to Bretton Woods to the oil going off the gold standard in 1971 to central banking from the beginning of the country to today. And it's a 2-hour documentary. It's got Robert Kiyosaki, it's got Ron Paul, it's got G. Edward Griffin, which I was fortunate enough to have had a relationship with, and I recruited him to the movie. And
Nice.
you can go on the website. People can buy this movie for I think 10 or 12, 15 bucks, something like that. Dave, this is a movie. Every single person, you should not be allowed to graduate high school without watching this movie. It ought to be in every library. It ought to be in every civics club, every home study club, every Turning Point. I don't care. Any institution that gives two damns about intelligence and wisdom ought to see when the book says you can't serve two masters. This is an expose on the world following the wrong effing master for 250 years
Mm.
and what it can do to you and how these people operate.
By
Right?
the way, I have put that post Money Disrupted in the chat of YouTube, Rumble, and X. So please check that out, my friends.
It is a lifetime, timeless, evergreen keeper, just like the book, Love and Peace and War, or War and Peace, and
Mhm.
the Titanic, movie, and The Creature from Jekyll Island is a book that people should all, I mean, it's an 800-page book. It's a big book, but you have the definitive scholar and researcher. Dave, I got to spend an entire day at Mr. Griffin's home
Yeah.
in California, near outside of Los Angeles. He's been in that. He bought that home in 1962, the year I was born, and he's lived in it for 70 or 64 years with his wife of 71 years. And I got to do an interview with him. I think it's on the screen there. I'm in his home doing that interview with him right there. And I got to spend an entire 94, still computer programming, still does Red Pill University events every summer. He blogs every day. He writes, he talks, he lectures, he interviews. He is a badass at 94 years old.
Yeah, amazing.
He's a legend. He's a national treasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He tried to warn us. What was the date of the Creature from Jekyll Island? Was it?
I think it was published in. I think it was published. That book was published. He's on its 5th edition, but I think the original was early '90s, maybe. I mean, he'd been speaking about it for a very, very long time. But even the early '90s is it's an almost 40-year-old book, 38, 40 years old, something like that. I'm not sure. Someone can, I'm sure, fact check me while we're on the call here. But that's truly one of my claim to fame. I told him outside of.
That's amazing. I love that interview.
I said outside of meeting President Trump, that was like one of the second best honors I've ever had, is to get to spend that much time with a man. I mean, people may not remember how far back. Remember the old Yuri Brezhnev interview when they were speaking about how the Russians were going to plan to come over and take us over without a shot, and they were going to infiltrate, and they were going to deceive, and that was him interviewing it, Brezhnev.
Is that right?
Yes, that was G. Edward Griffin doing that interview.
Wow.
He also wrote a book, A World Without Cancer, that sold more copies than The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just a learned, brilliant, self-taught man and a treasure for our country. And the fact that he's going to be alive this year, I do believe, is the year The Creature from Jekyll Island gets beheaded and it gets taken down. And that, I'm just so, I tried to get an interview. I was trying to put one together between the CEO of Ripple and G. Edward Griffin, and that would have been such a classic, the guy that exposed probably better than anybody, the mechanics and the structure, of this whole central banking beast system the world over, and what a fraud it is. To be able to have an interview with the man that's creating this decentralized ledger technology infrastructure that is going to decapitate this system.
Yeah.
And
one of the what he exposes in this book, by the way, is B17 Laetrile, and how it's got cyanide in it, but when it hits the body, the cyanide is only dangerous to the cancer. And they got 2 doctors. They paid two doctors. These are the same doctors that that said that smoking was good for us. And they got these 2 doctors, and they got them to say that cyanide is poisonous, and they made it illegal. And these 2 doctors were working with now one of the top cancer hospitals in the world, Sloan Kettering in New York City. I mean, it's just amazing that this has gone on, and we have been blind to it the whole time.
We pay for our own death, and then they get to treat us the whole time. They're quote on. We have a white. What's the difference between a narco terrorist and a pharmaceutical and a doctor? One's wearing a white lab coat and one isn't.
Right.
It's just it's insane. It truly is insane.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've been wanting to get you back on here, Rob, and I've gone through a move. I've been traveling. I've been like I've just been out of my mind the past couple months. But I'm so glad you called in. I want to wrap things up because I've been keeping things to about 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I want to have you back on officially, and and let people know that we're going to do it. And
Love to, brother. Whenever, just shoot me some times that work for you.
Okay. Let's see. I will. I will definitely do that. Let's do. Yeah. Let me reach out to you, but it would be great to do it around the time of April 2nd. I
Yeah,
need to
sure.
see if I'm going to be doing a broadcast because I have friends coming in from California. This week on Wednesday, and so I got to figure out my schedule. But yeah, let's be in touch, my friend. And I'm so glad you called in tonight. You really made the show tonight, and I'm so grateful to you and all the great work you're doing. And folks, if you haven't followed Rob yet, please do so. He's at Cool Show, at KUWL Show on X. Are you on any other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, my website is cool.show, www.kuwl.show. Have you been there?
Yes.
Yeah, so I tried to just consolidate all of my articles and research and interviews, and then the videos I create, and then the interviews I'm on, with third parties, and
Mhm.
and make it searchable. But I've got Substack, I've got um, X, I've
It
got
says
YouTube, I've
it
got
says
Rumble.
launching soon.
Uh,
It
where's
says
that?
launching soon on coolshow.com.
No. It's just cool.show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no .com involved in it. So it's the
There
yeah,
we
cool.show.
there we go. There you go.
I think that does throw a lot of people off, but
That's where the ladies can
yeah,
throw
yeah, and see,
yarn.
you've got it spelled wrong on your screen there. There's no .com involved. It's just
Oh, my bad.
cool.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's just cool.show.
Okay.
And then of course my Twitter is cool show, so that may kind of confuse people, but the links are up in the header of my X account. So if you go to cool show,
Dot show. Awesome. Awesome.
um,
Great stuff. Any parting words?
keep the faith. Know that discernment is everything. Know knowledge is great, but you got to take the next step to understand it. If you don't understand something, you don't own it. If you don't own it, you don't get the rights of ownership. And taking somebody else's word for it blindly is the wrong thing, no matter what it is. Health, religion, education, finances, it doesn't matter. We've got to learn how to do critical thinking again and take responsibility for every decision that we make instead of outsourcing everything. And we're all guilty of it. We've all fallen short. We've all just kind of trusted other people and go, well, whatever, sounds good enough, close enough to me, not
Mhm.
knowing how long and how deep the corruption has run. We just, it's a great awakening, and you can only participate in the great awakening with a great level of humility. We have to all accept they kicked our asses
Yep.
badly,
Yep.
and there's nothing we can do. We can't reverse time. And if we wallow in bitterness and anger and or resentment, or just say, no way, I would have figured it out. There's no way they did all that. They ain't trafficking kids
Mm.
in tunnels.
I'm too
Okay.
smart. I would have
I'm
picked
too
it up. I would have
smart for
seen it.
that. I'd have figured it out. Well, guess what? You're in a death loop,
Yep.
and we all just have to be humble enough to say that the father of lies is a son of a bitch, and he's deceptive as hell. He's good at it. He's been doing it for thousands of years, and he's been kicking our ass. And
Mm.
unless we wake up, we don't have a fighting chance in hell. to get ourselves out of the web that we've been put in. Maybe that's the whole point of life, is to just figure out who can wake up and who can't.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but
I think the reason we're here is we're here to figure it out.
and help each other, serve each other, wake
Yeah.
each other up. And no matter what people say to us, they can't hurt us. If they don't want to take our help, we can still be gracious. We can still. But again, what greater thing is there to do than to help serve and wake other people up? If you really don't believe in scarcity and you believe in abundance, then there's no way I can give away too much, because I still ain't gonna run out.
Yeah.
There-
Amazing. Well, thank you, my friend. I'm so glad you called in, and I'm so glad you thought of me today when you did that awesome post about the financial situation, and I think that what is coming is something that we've seen for quite some time. We just didn't know how long it would take. We didn't know when it would come. And now we're kind of being given this date by President Trump of April 2nd. And, he doesn't say things like that lightly. And he
He
doesn't.
doesn't like to be embarrassed or do a belly flop in front of the world. So he's got a lot of eyeballs on him. I can guarantee you he's not just pulling dates out of his rear end.
Yep. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate
Thank you, brother. Thank you for
love
having
to
me.
you and yours. And we're going to talk very, very soon.
Look forward to it, man. Take care.
Rob. All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. You're welcome. Thank you. Well, my friends, what a treat. You never know who's going to call in on the open lines, and man, did we get a call. And by the way, I don't expect all calls to be at that level, but Rob is somebody I've had on the show specifically for his knowledge of XRP, his knowledge of the financial markets, his knowledge of Q, his knowledge of the Great Awakening. So normally it's just a conversation with you guys. But I'm so glad Rob called in and we had that conversation. For those who are supporting this platform, thank you very much. And please, if you have it in your hearts and your ability, please lend financial support to myself, platforms like mine that are putting out this kind of very, very valuable information and keeping us smiling throughout the whole thing. I mean, that Q said enjoy the show 100 times because Q knew how shitty the show was going to be for a lot of us. So keep smiling, keep the faith, keep moving forward, keep loving those who need it the most, and especially ourselves. And so with that, my friends, I will see you tomorrow night, Monday. And please share this out for those that you think would benefit by it. And I will see you tomorrow night. Much love and good night. Thank you, Moonbeam. Thank you, Quasi Pete, for holding down the fort in the chat. Much love to you both.